Alter Ego has done it again. They have duped one of my favorite Natasha Denona palettes, and that is the Yucca palette. I have spoken so highly of this palette. It is such a unique color story, and the shimmers in here are just like absolutely everything. But this palette is $69, and that is pretty pricey. So Alter Ego came out with the Wildwood palette. So this is their dupe of the Yucca palette, and this palette is only $22, and I have a code Angela10 that can save you 10% on top of that. This video is kindly sponsored by Alter Ego, and I just love working with them because I find that they do a great job at duping high-end palettes for an affordable price. So for today's video, I'm going to start by showing you the two palettes side by side. We're going to go in and swatch all the shades and find the corresponding ones. And then of course I had to put the palettes to the test and do an eye look. So right now on one eye I'm wearing the Alter Ego palette, on the other eye is the Natasha Denona one. So take your guess now on which eye you think is which. I think this is so fun. I love this part. So let's get started with some swatches of these palettes side by side. All right, let's take a look at these two palettes. I've said this in my past couple videos with Alter Ego, but I really do prefer the layout that they have been doing of the dupes. So they put all the gorgeous shimmers right here in the top row and then the mattes all together on the bottom two rows. But I also really like this because I feel like the way they did this, like there's some quads down here that really go together if you're someone that kind of struggles to put shades and color combos together. So down here you kind of have more of your pukey kind of green mustardy shades that I just love. And then you have your brown, your kind of more warmer shades right here, and then it goes into those two kind of bluish shades. But let's go through and swatch these palettes side by side and find the corresponding shades. I'm gonna start with LASH. And then from Yucca, I'm gonna take Komorebi. Okay, shade-wise, those look like spot on to me. I do feel like the Natasha Denona one just has like a little bit more shimmer in there, but shade-wise, those look so close. Next is Golden. Really wish I didn't have nails on today, but that's okay. And next to that, I'm gonna swatch Ray. Oop, got a little dusty there. Next is Awe. And I'm gonna swatch Elaysia next to that one. Awe does seem like a little bit more sheer, where I feel like Elaysia has more of like a base to it, but again, the shade is spot on to me. And then we have Ray, and that's gonna swatch next to Plantasia. So pretty. This is one of my favorite shimmer shades from Yucca, and I feel like they got that spot on. Then we have Thrive. And then swatching Micaiah next to that one. Alter Ego nailed these shimmer shades, which I am so excited about because like I said, I love the shimmers from Yucca. All right, now moving on to the matte shades. This is Zest. And then swatching Camu Camu. Next is Moss. Okay, that one didn't swatch too great. I'm gonna go over that one again. Okay, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out which shade this is supposed to be a dupe of because, okay, so we have Zest in that one, Honey and Citrine. So it either has to be this one or that one, but like those two look so similar, and I feel like this looks a lot deeper than either of these two shades, doesn't it? I think out of these two shades, this one looks deeper to me, so I guess I'm gonna swatch that one. So that's gonna be Acacia. Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks right. That was weird though, like in the pans, they don't look very similar, but in the swatch, they look pretty dang close to me. All right, next is Amber, and this is one of those like cream to powder shades that is not my favorite kind of formula, but that's okay. Okay, I think I still had some of that green on my finger, so I'm gonna actually re-swatch that one. Yeah, you can see how creamy this is, like my little finger indent right there. And then I'm gonna swatch Fushi next to that one. Fushi does seem like it had a little bit more pigment to it, but shade-wise, they look pretty close. Again, I did have some green on my finger when I swatched that orange. Next is Trail. That one didn't swatch too great either. I'm gonna go over that. This one feels kind of dry to the touch. There we go, just building that up. And I'm gonna swatch Valley next to that one. Yeah, the formula of Valley feels a lot better. And there's the shade side by side. And last shade for this row is Stream. And I'm gonna swatch Willow next to that one. My arm feels very dry right here, so I feel like it's kind of patchy in some places, but I think that's my arm and not the formula. I'm gonna go over stream just a little bit more if I can. There we go. Yeah, those shades again are just spot on. All right, now let's move on to the last row. So first is Honey. I love this kind of shade, and Citrine is gonna go next to that one. I feel like Honey has, I don't know, like a little bit more green in it. Next is Pollen. And I believe Tipu should be the corresponding shade. Wow, that one is like a perfect match. Like those just blend seamlessly into each other. All right, next is Citrus. And then Ixia is gonna go next to that one. Ixia definitely has a bit more pigment to it, but shade-wise, they're pretty close. I believe I probably could build up Citrus to look even more similar to that. See, sometimes you just need to do another layer, but now they literally look the same. Next is Oak. I'll go over that one more time. There we go. And then swatching Flax next to that one. There we go. Shade-wise, it is so spot on. And then I got a little bit of my micellar water on this shade Wisp, but it should be okay. And this is another one of those cream to powder formulas. And then swatching Calathea next to that. Very, very similar. So like I said, the only shades that I was like a little bit confused by of what should be what is these two ones right here. We got Moss and Pollen with Tipu and Acacia. Like this Moss one just looks deeper, but I believe Acacia is the correct dupe. With such a unique color story of Yucca, I think Alter Ego did a great job duping those shades. I'm so excited to put this on my eyes, so let's go ahead and do the eyeshadow tutorial in comparison. As always, when I film these dupe videos, I do have two different sets of brushes, so I'm not mixing the formulas. And I went ahead and primed both my eyes with the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer, and I did set that with the translucent powder. I'm gonna be using the Wildwood palette on my left eye and Yucca on my right eye, so let's get started. I'm gonna start with Pollen on a fluffy packing brush. So I have the shadow on my brush like that, and I'm going to start this by stamping it into my crease. And I'm starting with the stamping motion so I can kind of get the general shape that I want, and then I will start to blend it out. Now once most of the product is off my brush, I'm going to start pushing the shadow upwards to soften out the edges. I picked up a little bit more shadow and I'm just building that up on my outer crease. Now for my right eye, I'm going to take the corresponding shade from Yucca, and I'm doing the same exact thing. So again, I always place my brush down where I want the most pigment first, and then I'll start to blend out the edges. And then I'm adding a little bit more on the very outer crease. Now I'm going to take Honey from the Alter Ego side, and I want to pack this shade on the outer part of my lid, and I'm also going to kind of use this to blend around the edges of that first shade. I just love this type of color, so I want this like to be very prominent on my eyes. And this is so pigmented. Wow. And then for my other eye, I'm picking up Citrine. And again, starting that by packing it on the outer part of my lid and then bringing it up into the outer crease. I feel like this shade looks very similar on both eyes, and it's applying like the same exact way. Now I'm gonna pick up this kind of bright green on a small fluffy brush, and I just wanna use that around the edges, so kind of just right under my brow to soften everything out. And then picking up the corresponding shade from Yucca. Now next I have to try out some of these shimmers because I love the shimmers in the Yucca palette, so we have to see if the Alter Ego ones compare. I really wish I could use my fingers to pick up these shades, but my nails are just too long to do so, so I have to use a brush, but I would recommend your fingers. So I'm taking a flat lid brush and I'm gonna pick up Thrive, and let's place this on the inner part of the lid. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, I'm actually kind of bringing this like all over my lid. Again, I just love these shimmer shades. I did a video recently where I created like my perfect shimmer palette, and I pulled out 2 of the shimmers from Yucca just because I love the tones of them. And so far, this Alter Ego one looks perfectly comparable. And then taking that same green shimmer from Yucca. Okay, so I'm going back in and picking up more of the shadow just to get it to look like the other eye. Okay, there are the 2 shimmers before I blend them out a little bit more, but I actually think I prefer the Alter Ego shimmer. Like, they're really close, but I just feel like this one is popping a little bit more. I'm gonna go back to that little fluffy brush I used and kind of blend around the edges of the shimmer. And then picking up the other brush, same thing. So just with the eyelids done, I do feel like everything looks pretty even. The shades are looking very similar and the formulas are performing like exactly the same. I'm gonna go ahead and do my under eye concealer, and I like to use this to clean up the edge of the shadow. So I just do like a little line right out here on the outer corner. And I'm following the angle of my lower lash line outwards. And then just setting my under eyes with the translucent powder. And now my under eyes are ready for shadow. I'm gonna take the dark brown shade Oak on a pencil brush, and I'm gonna run that across my entire lower lash line. And then from Natasha Denona, I'm gonna pick up Flax. This brown does seem more pigmented right off the bat. Now I'm gonna take more honey on my small fluffy brush, and I'm gonna blend that along the lower lash line just to kind of give this more of like a grungier look, to kind of smoke everything out. And then I'm taking Citrine from Natasha Denona and doing the same exact thing. I do want to deepen up my outer corner a little bit more, so I'm going to take more of that brown shade. So I'm taking Oak from Alter Ego, and I'm just going to kind of stamp that on the very outer part of my eyelid. And then for my other eye, I'm taking Flax. Yeah, so out of the shades I used on my eyelid today, I do still think that that deep brown is just slightly more pigmented than the Alter Ego one, but I can easily just build up the Alter Ego side to match it. I do want to finish up this look with an inner corner highlight, but there's not really a good highlight shade in these palettes for me, so I'm going to take my favorite Rare Beauty highlighter in Enlighten, pop a little bit right here in the very inner corner. I went ahead and finished up both eyes with some mascara and lashes, and for my lashes, I'm wearing the Bright Lashes All Naturel, but I did cut them into a half lash. And here's a final close-up of the eyes all done. here is what the full face of makeup looks like, and I love how my makeup turned out today. In case you want to know, for my blush, I'm wearing the Patrick Ta blush in Not Too Much. As I was applying this, I was thinking to myself, like, if I could recommend you one product from the Sephora sale going on right now, it would be this blush. I have not stopped using this since I bought it. I brought it on the Creators and Friends trip. I wore it every single day. I just think it's the most perfect blush color for me. It applies beautifully, and I find it to be really long lasting as well. I said this in my live yesterday, but if I could only keep one blush, it would 100% be this blush. And then on my lips, I'm wearing my Makeup by Mario lip liner in Smoky Pink. And then I popped on this Flower Beauty Gloss Crush Lip Serum in the shade Honey Crush. I got a little package from Flower Beauty and this was in it, and I have been loving this lip product. It's like a perfect kind of oily, slightly nude color, and it's just like really easy to pop on. Honestly, I think this might be Alter Ego's best dupe yet, because I was a little worried about these shimmery shades. You guys know I love the ones in Yucca, so I was worried that Alter Ego might not be able to just capture the beauty of those shades, but I feel like they really did. I always thought the color story of Yucca was so unique. Like, this is just so much fun, but this palette is very expensive, so I'm so glad there's now a cheaper alternative for you guys at only $22, and you can use my code Angela10 to save on top of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.